Razorback Nation, welcome into this Saturday edition of your Razor Recap as we're coming off Tennessee. The Tennessee series, Arkansas taking that series with a victory today. Arkansas softball is rolling in their regional with a victory to come back from behind victory today in extras to get the win there, and we'll dive on into that in just a second. But before we do, we got to tell you about our lovely sponsors over at Razor Pigs. Looking good, never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand bringing some serious style to the golf course, the tailgate, and everywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Found right here at home and now run by a Razorback-loving family, Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool, so go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us. And our lovely sponsors over at Scarlet Letter, Arkansas's very own handcrafted spiked seltzer. Check them out today, and if you're Northwest Arkansas, you can check out the Core Brew Tap Room, where you can get Scarlet Letter in all of its various flavors, so go check them out today, and we'll dive in. Man, what a weekend for Arkansas baseball. You know, you come into Thursday, it's a tight back-and-forth game. You know, you let it get away, lose 10-7. And then, you know, on Friday you have Liam Doyle, if not the best pitcher in the country you got to face. It's a very daunting task after not being able to secure that Thursday game with, you know, using your ace, Zach Root, a guy that, you know, didn't have one of his best outings, but unable to secure that win and then having to go up against their ace the next day. That's didn't give a lot of Hog fans optimism, but, you know, we're sitting here today, got the series win. So,
I mean, doesn't it feel great? I mean, just another 20-win conference season. That's three in a row. 3 in a row, 5 of the last 6, because COVID year doesn't count. So just incredible consistency. I know we're going to say 3 in a row and what's happened the last 2 years in your own regional, but we can forget about all that because this team is much more equipped to outscore you, which we saw this weekend. You know, I know people are going to be worried about pitching. It's understandable. I have my concerns about pitching, but as far as, you know, this team and what they deserve nothing but credit right now. You know, just, I mean, we talked about this for so long. That back half of that SEC schedule was going to be completely difficult, and they wrote it out. You know, they played a lot of tough road series. They had a hot A&M team come to town. And then Texas came to town, number 1 in the country. They beat the crap out of them. Then here comes Tennessee. You know, they're not, and it's not a Tennessee team that's not playing for nothing. They're playing. They're trying to fight to host a regional at this point, because they've been struggling too. I think that was a 6 straight rubber match game they played, and they haven't won. They've lost all of them. So it's just incredible the way this team has continued to fight, and just the offense is, you look up and down the lineup, there's no weakness.
No. I was about to say, we were talking about it today. You look at the scoreboard, you know, during the games, and when you only have one guy hitting under 300 in your 1 through 9, it's insane. And Robinette would probably be hitting over 300 if he had more bats under his belt, you know, throughout the season. So,
but he's had so many less at bats that he can get 2 hits in a row and his average would be over 300.
Exactly. So the sample set there is not as big as, you know, the rest of those guys who have shown that consistency of hitting over 300, especially, you know, your top of the order guys 1 through 4, 1 through 5 of hitting, you know, nearly 400, especially you think Kihio earlier in the season, what he did, what Vahiva's done consistently, you know, a guy that by all means should be, I think, you know, SEC player of the year. But yeah, to your point, up and down this lineup, different people step up, you know, to your point, like we were talking about before we jumped on here, you know, Ryder Helfrich, you know, he had the big grand slam today, but, you know, he has been consistently hitting the ball better. Especially from last year, a lot of growth for him, hitting in 300s, hitting in that 5-hole today. They moved him up, yesterday as well. So you're seeing growth, and it's fantastic to see, especially, perfect way to cap out the regular season. Last weekend against LSU didn't go how you wanted it to. So, wrapping up the regular season with a win at home, and going into the SEC tournament where you're locked in as a 2 seed and don't have to play till Friday.
Yeah, which I love they changed the format because now that you play Friday, it's not going to mess up your rotation. You can pitch Root no matter who you're playing and get him some innings. And then if you win that one, you go forward. And now it makes it not so hard on you and strings your pitching staff up to try to win the thing. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm just glad that they that we're sitting pretty in that double bye.
100%. Yeah, Angel jumping in here saying Tennessee played their best game and lost. Looking at it, and then also DVH playing 5D chess, and Tony V's playing checkers. So, I mean, to that point, statistic that I didn't think about until I saw something about it over this weekend. And I think if my math's right, counting today, Tony Vitello is 2-10 against Arkansas since he's left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let it be what it'll be. But, I mean, he just isn't there yet. All the success he's had, yeah, he's won a championship, great, fantastic, everything. But still can't beat the guy that you came up coaching under. And, all your games that you like to play, we were talking about before we jumped on, trying to waste time, all the pickoff moves your pitchers are throwing to first to kind of stall it, what your hitters are doing, kind of taking up all this time outside the box. I even noticed yesterday late in the game, they put in a pinch runner and he decides to jog up and down the right field line before getting on base so the game can proceed. So,
yeah. I'm not a fan of Tennessee. I don't really care for them and how they play, and that all boils down to Vitello allows it to happen. So
starts from the top.
Yep. So we've seen them have numerous times where they are bickering with the other team. Didn't see a whole lot of that this weekend. We saw a little bit of it from our side because of the way that they were, delaying the game. And even Fisher, which for them had a crazy weekend. But just the way that he stared down that home run when they're down by 6 today was a little bit just stupid. And then the guy did the bat flip the other night right at our dugout. And then trying to think of the other thing that happened, all the pickoff moves, they play, wouldn't if they get eliminated quickly in the regional or supers, I wouldn't be too mad about it.
Yeah. Like Angel says here, old sloppy top. So they can keep that over there. They can keep Tony V, regardless looking to the future. He can just stay himself over in Knoxville. But we're going to dive into some stats for these games. So we'll quickly look at Thursday's game. Won't spend too much time on it. Arkansas, unfortunately, loses 10-7 in this one where, Arkansas was in this one all the way until, late in this game. Zach Root gets to start in this one. Your ace, your Friday night guy on Thursdays. 3 2/3 for him. 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts on 68 pitches. He got beat up pretty early in this one. Gabe Geckel comes in for 2 2/3, allows 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts on 54 pitches. Dylan Carter, 2/3 of an inning for him, 1 walk, 1 strikeout on 17 pitches. Ben Bybee comes in for an inning, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts for 20 pitches. Hunter Dietz doesn't even make it a third of an inning, gives up 3 hits, 3 runs on 8 pitches. And then Christian Fouch comes in and closes things down in this game with the final inning allowing 1 hit, 1 strikeout on 18 pitches.
Yeah, wasn't the best pitching performance from Zach Root, but I feel like he's going to be fine. He's had games against Vanderbilt and Texas this year that tell me that when it comes to do or die time, we can trust in him. So Dave Van Horn normally likes to go with his ace the second game of a regional, but I'm not sure if he can afford to do that with this staff right now. So we'll see how he does that for the regional. I'm pretty sure we'll see Root Friday in the SEC tournament. I don't think he'll go long, probably be on a limited pitch count to save him for the regional. But yeah, we'll see. But Gackel's been great lately. He's still pitching good, and I hate to see Dietz give up those runs, but hopefully we see him in the SEC tournament a little bit, and he can get going because it'd be good to have him be able to get some lefties out in the regionals.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Austin's not able to join us today, but he is in the comment section. He is like, Hobbs, what the heck is Hunter Dietz doing on the mound in the ninth? I think we talked about that before. That's the only thing, if you had to critique this weekend and decisions that are made, that's one of the biggest ones that stand out to me is that situation, bringing in Hunter Dietz. I get you're wanting to get him some experience and some pitches under his arms, but in a close game like this where he's hardly pitched at all in 2 years of being here, to me, not the best situation to stick a guy in there that you're trying to get up to speed and ready to go that you're going to need down the stretch.
Yeah, we talked about that. You saw him come in the game and you got excited because you got an opportunity, but then you're like, okay, well, maybe he shouldn't be in the game right now because it's too close of a game and he hadn't pitched in so long, other than that 8-run lead or whatever last weekend. So, yes, it's difficult. Unfortunately, I think if we had Wiggins healthy, it'd be a different story. But I just hope that he's got the capability. His stuff was there, but Tennessee was just on him. And hopefully, the next time we see him, he's a lot better because I still believe in Dietz a lot. But yeah, he shouldn't have been out there. To answer your question, hindsight's always 20/20. But I've been asking for the guy behind me to pitch more and for Gibbler to pitch more. And we'll get to those games. Gibbler came in yesterday and dominated like he's been doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Quick look over the offensive side from that game. Davlin goes 2 for 6, 2 RBIs. Vahiva Loy 1 for 5 with a run scored, 2 RBIs. Logan Maxwell 3 for 4 with a run scored. Cahillo 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Up and down this lineup, guys were consistently hitting the ball. 1 for 4 for Ryder, run scored. Reese Robinette 2 for 3 in game 1 with two runs scored. Walked twice as well. So Justin Thomas, as they like to call it, the caboose gang, they're at the bottom of the order carrying some things. Justin Thomas was 2 for 5 with a run scored and RBI. So, up and down the lineup, it's like we said, you don't really have a glaring hole that a team can be like, all right, if I can get to this spot in the lineup, it's going to ease up a little bit. That's not the case for this Arkansas lineup. And it's like you've seen a lot of people, national media say, this is, easily one of the best offensive teams in the country right now. I mean, they were talking about it post game, how the school record for home runs was tied after this weekend. So,
yeah, they'll break it in Hoover. So, we talked about this on the podcast all baseball season that this is probably the best lineup in school history, which they're going to prove that in Hoover when they set the record. So,
right.
I don't remember in my lifetime, which I'm 35 years old and probably old enough to start watching baseball around 11 or 12 or really start understanding it. But I haven't seen in my lifetime an offense with this type of explosion. Early in the earlier years, we had really good pitching and played a lot of small ball and, maybe had just a couple hitters at over 300, but we never had this kind of power. It's incredible. I mean, look at it. You got seven guys are hitting 10 plus home runs. Thomas is 2 away. And then the other guy, Robinette, hadn't been playing all year, so you can't really count him in that equation.
Right.
And Souza had 6 before he went down. So if
he was really starting to feel himself.
he was starting to hit really, really good too. So I mean that's incredible. So
yeah, 100%. We jump over to game 2 yesterday, where Arkansas takes this one 8-6, where Tennessee pitches Liam Doyle, their ace, like we said, easily probably the best pitcher in the conference and potentially the country. He's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft this, coming up. And, we get him out in 4 2/3, get 11 hits off of him, drive in 8 runs, walk twice. He had 10 strikeouts against us to pitch 104 pitches in 4 2/3. So really was able to get him early and not allow him to go deep into this game, which was fantastic hitting. They talked about it pregame how, they changed up a little bit this weekend. Instead of in batting practice, instead of hitting off a person, they put up the pitch machine, and Iredale interviewed after he was the player of the game yesterday, and they interviewed him. He was like, I liked it, changing it up a little bit. And that was fantastic to see offense come back. Yeah, you lost a tough one on Thursday, but then you bounce back like this on Friday night against their ace, and you kind of get to him early and are able to put some runs on him when he's hardly allowed any this season. And then this is the first time we saw Aiden Jimenez get his first start at Arkansas. We wondered who that TBD was going to be. Was Dave going to go with Bottle Cheese, or was it potentially Jimenez? Well, Jimenez got his first start, went 2 1/3, allowed 7 hits, 4 runs, 0 walks, 0 strikeouts on 43 pitches. Cole Gibbler comes in for 3 1/3. Fantastic outing for him. He allows only 3 hits, gets 1 walk, 3 strikeouts on 61 pitches. Parker Coyle, 1 1/3 for him, 3 hits, 2 runs scored, 2 strikeouts on 27 pitches. And then Fouch comes back in this game again after pitching the day before. Gives you 2 good innings, 1 hit allowed, 1 walk, 1 strikeout on 31 pitches. So, great job for it to use just 4 guys and have the rest of your bullpen for, today's game that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But not the worst start, but, Aiden Jimenez comes out and gives up 4 runs, but, not the worst start to have as your first start.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see Jimenez struggle for a 3rd consecutive outing. That's a little bit concerning to me. Because he's been so good all year. So hopefully he's not getting tired out, because I've seen a couple of our pitchers that's happened to in the past couple of years. I think of guys like Brady Tigert and Will McIntyre last year. So I'm hoping that's not the case with Jimenez and that he can bounce back from that. But if it is the case, he's got to have a short lease on him. Mm-hmm. He can't try to look. There's no. You can let him work it out a little bit in the SEC tournament, but when we get to regionals, you can't let him try to work it out. You got to have a short lease,
right? Especially because you don't want to be back in a position where you're trying to have to fight back from behind, especially in regional play. Like you said, it's key to get that game 1 win. And like you said, we'll probably see Root there, but a guy like Aiden Jimenez is going to come up big, and you're going to need him in some spots, especially in this postseason. So, like you said, hopefully he can turn that corner and kind of get back to the Aiden Jimenez that we saw as a key closer this season.
Yeah, it'd probably be Root and then Wood for the regional. And then after that, because like I said, the first 2 are the most important. After that, you get those 2 wins. After that, then you just play off of, who's available. And ride the hot hand, and if you get to a do or die game, you can use Root again.
Right.
So that's my thinking this year. That's probably what I think he's going to do, because the last 2 years have worked out the way that they've worked out. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, the rest of the guys like Gibbler and stuff, those are guys right now that are Gibbler and McIntyre are pitching really well. So that gives me hope with Jimenez struggling, but hopefully, he can get it going.
Yeah. I think you'll see a decent amount of innings from Gibbler Coyle, McIntyre's, guys like that in the SEC tournament. Because I mean, you'll probably see your key guys like Root and Wood, but you're only going to see minimal outings out of them. You're not going to press them a lot to go the normal starter distance, if you will. They'll probably get maybe 2 to 3 innings at most, just to keep them in routine, keep their arms a little bit loose. But you're not going to push them because, as we've already discussed, this SEC tournament is, in terms of what it would do for us seeding wise, doesn't help us. But as we talked before, you only have 3 games that you got to win the SEC. So, I mean, don't overdo it. But, if you're in some spots, might as well give it a shot to try to win the SEC tournament.
Yeah, I mean, if you win the game 1, I mean, you're only 2 wins away, shoot for it. I mean,
yeah, you're like a weekend series sweep away from.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the year that we beat Tennessee to win the SEC championship was pretty fun, so I'll take it again.
Yeah, and then you jump over the offensive side of things in game 2 yesterday. Davlon 3 for 4, 1 RBI, 1 walk, easily best leadoff man in the country right there. What he's able to do, just puts the ball in play, doesn't try to do too much, sees the ball well, doesn't strike out a ton. And he's kind of back on the upswing after, he had a couple of games where he didn't look the best, but, that's going to happen for hitters throughout the season. So he's finding himself again. Vahiva goes 1 for 5 with an RBI scored. Logan Maxwell 2 for 5 with a run scored. Cahillo 0 for 3 but scores a run. Ryder Helfrich 1 for 4 with a run scored. 2 RBIs. Cam Kojal 2 for 4 with a run scored. Brent Iredale, it was great to see him finally have a big game like this after, we know he sees the ball well, and it's like we said, almost too well. Some pitches that he could probably swing at, but he still decides to take on it. He goes 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs, hits a home run this game, has a fantastic Sports Center type catch near the wall on a foul ball. This was just his game of welcome back, Brent Iredale. Reese Robinette goes hitless in this game, and then Justin Thomas 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored and a walk.
Yeah, I mean, just offense explosion. I mean, everybody had to hit except for Robinette. And, anytime you score 7 or 8 runs, you should probably win most of those games. So, and this was an example of that. And Logan Maxwell is back. He's seeing the ball good again. And that is a beautiful thing to see because there's a reason he hits in 3-hole in this lineup. He's that good. And, I think he's only got like 30 RBIs, and he'd probably have a lot more if he was healthy all year. Right. And he even looked good running some balls down in the outfield. So hopefully that hammy, and honestly, I'd like to see Bowles play a little bit in the SEC tournament to give Maxwell a little bit of a break.
Right.
Have him ready for the regional. I don't want to get him hurt because he's too valuable for this team. But yeah, and Iredale, man, I was so excited about him all year, and I know the bat that he's capable to have. So to see him hitting like that is great to see, and the glove's been there all year.
100%.
So that play that he made is incredible. I'm glad he didn't get hurt on it.
I was about to say, well, he follows that up with he catches a shot to third directly after making that play. So
yeah. So just great, and Ryder Helfrich, man, we'll get to what he did in game 3. So
yeah. Like you two, I want to see Bolson play in the SEC tournament, but maybe we can see some Kendall Diggs too.
Becker, I want to see Diggs.
Maybe you can start working Frazier back in the lineup.
Frazier, which he's been available. They just don't, didn't really need him this weekend.
Don't mess with something that's working right now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, but the SEC tournament, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because if you look at the national seeding, we're probably the number 3 national seed if they had the selection show today. And really, these seedings don't change based on what happens in the conference tournaments.
Right.
They're not like basketball. They're not going to change. So if we were to go and win it, we may jump up to the 2 seed. But at the end of the day, they're still going to send Kansas to our regional probably. the same team, so it doesn't matter. The thing that matters most was us getting home for a super, more than likely.
Right.
But yeah, SEC tournament. Let's get some guys in there like Diggs, Becker, Bowles, Pepe, a guy like Frazier. Let's get some guys in the lineup, get some guys some rest, and get ready for what matters most. Yeah, definitely.
100%. We'll jump over to today's game where Arkansas gets the win 8-4 in, another dominant outing where you use 3 pitchers. And then, this is not a bad type of rotation to have where Gage Wood got the start in this one. 3 innings for him, 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts for him on 76 pitches. So he still, got beat up a little bit last week and comes in this game, gets hit 7 times, but, still only allows 2 runs, gets 7 Ks in this one. So, you still seeing him working his way back in this one.
Well, 3 of those 7 hits were the first 3 batters. So
exactly.
he really dialed in after that.
I was about to say it was a long first inning for him, that first half of the inning, and then second, third, he kind of settled in and got the job done. Then you have Landon Battle Cheese come in and kind of a reliever role. Haven't seen that a ton this year, and it wasn't the worst thing. 2 1/3 for him, 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts on 45 pitches, and then what a performance from one Will McIntyre. He's the guy that has had an up and down season. A guy that decided to come back for another year, was going to come in some key spots. And like you said earlier, who knew this weekend would be one of those key spots where he comes in 3 2/3, no hits, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts against 11 batters. So 11 up, 11 down on 39 pitches. What an efficient day for Will McIntyre to come in, especially, last regular season game, last home regular season game. It was senior weekend. Fantastic stuff for him to see him come out and have just a dominant outing in the fashion that we know he can.
Yeah, I mean, I've been asking to see him more. He's looked good. I know he's come in and some big leads or whatever, but he's looked good. And the only times he's looked really bad this year were earlier in the year. Like he gave up some home runs against Michigan and Texas, but other than that, he's got a 2-something ERA, and he's had a great year. So maybe the good thing about him is he's kind of fresh. So he may be the guy that gets us, wins us that 3rd game in the regionals. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts game 3 of a regional. Would not shock me at all.
The guy that's been there, done that, has the experience of that postseason. You remember he had that big, huge game in the Supers against North Carolina a few years ago as well.
And then Auburn in the College World Series. He's capable, and he looked really good today. And, with the way the projections are, we're going to get some home run hitting teams in our regional if the projections go the way they're supposed to, like Kansas or Dallas Baptist, that are top 15 in the country in home runs. So if we get some home run hitting teams that are used to hitting high velocity and he comes in there and throws that may be a good thing to keep them off balance. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. You jump to the offense today, another fantastic day at the plate for a lot of these guys. Davlon goes 1 for 4 with a run scored, 1 walk for him. Vahiva Loy has himself a day going 2 for 5 with 3 runs scored, 1 RBI. Logan Maxwell 2 for 3 with a run scored and an RBI. Cahillo 0 for 4 with a run scored and takes a walk. But the guy that had himself a fantastic day, easily, other than Will McIntyre, offensively your player of the game, Ryder Helfrich goes 2 for 4 with a run scored and 5 RBIs on a grand slam that was a very unique one, a 46-degree launch angle, one that kind of seemed to hang up there for a little bit. And then, it's like Dave in the postgame said, I wasn't sure if that one was going to go out. And then he said, then I thought it was going to go to the green seats right there behind the bullpen, but ended up dropping in the Tennessee bullpen. And just a fantastic day at the plate for him. He's gotten bumped up to that 5-hole like we talked about. Kozel goes 0 for 3 with a walk. Brent Iredale 0 for 2 with 2 walks in this one. Reese Robinette 0 for 3 with a run scored and a walk. Justin Thomas 0 for 3 with a walk. We had 9 walks in the game today. But another fantastic outing from this lineup, up and down, whether guys are getting hits or, taking walks. They were getting the job done and getting runners on base.
Yeah, walks are just as good as the hit. So, but yeah, so that's big time. And yeah, Ryder Helfert, man, this guy. Think about a guy that hit 170 his freshman year. And then, he saves a picture of that to his phone screen to remind himself, don't ever do that again. And just comes out and struggled the first part of the year. And then, at one point in the season, he was hitting 200. And now he's hitting, I believe like 320. So that's incredible. That's how much on fire he's been. He's got 10 home runs, 30 RBIs now.
Yeah, he's hitting 316 with 30 RBIs and 10 home runs.
Yeah, so that's why he's been moved up in the lineup, and it really helped too, because the guy he flip flopped was Iredale, and he's starting to swing the bat better too. So just great, and man, I just he's a guy that when he comes up to the plate, he's been taking such great at bats, and do not let him pull the ball, because it's going to come at you 100 miles per hour. Scary.
100%. You look at with the regular season in the books, Viva Loy finishes with the best batting average on the team at hitting 358 with 18 home runs, 58 RBIs. Charles Davalon ends the regular season hitting 353 with 13 home runs, 54 RBIs. Logan Maxwell, 350 with 10 home runs, 27 RBIs. Cajillo, 345 with 13 home runs, 68 RBIs for him. Can just drive guys in. Cam Kojal, 335 with 12 home runs, 55 RBIs. Ryder Helfert, 316, like we just said. Justin Thomas, 308 with 8 home runs, 31 RBIs. Brent Iredale, 301 with 13 home runs, 56 RBIs. And then, another guy that we talked about, Vols, hitting 310 with 2 home runs and 16 RBIs as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's great. So, this is just the lineup. The only thing that I hope is our pitching can be good in the regional. So
get back to where it was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just got to pitch the right guys in the right situation. So hopefully they can produce. So, because this offense, I have complete confidence. And we're not going to face pitching like we just faced.
Right. You're not going to face guys like Liam Doyle or these SEC pitchers. Once you get guys like these Big 12 pitchers, like you mentioned, more than likely we'll have Kansas head this way, or, these other schools, they have great pitchers, but, they're not going to have, the depth that some SEC teams have. They may have one guy that they're, you're going to get their best shot.
And depending on who they send to our regional, which I know I said you probably won't see Zach Root game 1. If they send, I think I saw a projection, George Mason to our regional, that you might not see Zach Root game 1, because we're liable to run them off the field.
Yeah, let's see. This was the 13th projections. They had Kansas, Western Kentucky, and Wright State for our regional.
Wright State. Okay. Now Wright State, they can be sneaky now, and Western Kentucky's good too. So is Kansas.
And that was D1 baseball. Baseball America has Southern Miss, Western Kentucky, and Kent State.
Southern Miss should be hosting a regional. They've won like 15 straight games. They've dominated their conference. They should be hosting a regional. So that is not a team I want to see in our regional.
100%. I agree. A team like that, according to USA Today, this is an interesting one. They have us as a hosting. Our 2 seed is Duke. Northeastern is the 3 seed, and Bryant is the 4 seed.
Okay. You lost me at Northeastern. They've won 25 games in a row. So I don't want to nut down. Their competition is not the greatest, but I'm not really scared of anybody. But yeah, that's interesting. That is like every projection we see. There's a team like, oh dang, they're doing pretty good. Yeah,
And that's
Northeastern
compared.
24 in a row.
Yeah,
that's they're they're pretty good.
Compared to look at the Austin region, according to USA Today. Texas is the host. Texas San Antonio is the 2 seed. Kansas is the 3 seed, and Central Connecticut State as the 4 seed. Like, how do you give us that regional and then?
That's the way they do it. The only regional I've ever seen is that them give us somebody, even when we were the number 1 seed, when we won every series that year with Kevin Copps, and we were the number 1 overall seed, they still gave us Nebraska and they were the Big Ten champion. And just because Dave Van Horn had coached there before. This is what they do to Arkansas.
Yeah. We're host team, and then we get one of the toughest regionals out there. So
yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean it's never fails, but oh well. And so fantastic things. Arkansas gets the series against Tennessee, caps the season off with a series win, especially your last regular season game at home. And so fantastic things, especially getting to beat Tony V. He likes to come back and thinks he's gonna do something in Fayetteville, and then Dave says, all right, I'll let you have one. And then
you have one.
You can have one. We won't sweep you, but you can have one.
That's funny.
So fantastic weekend. I'm excited with how the season went. And like you said, it's time for some postseason ball. We got the SEC tournament in between. If we happen to, the chips fall right, you can make it to the finals and potentially win that. Why not? But don't overspend on trying to, use everything you got to win it, because at the end of the day, it's not going to help you out. So,
right, exactly.
Austin said, why does Texas always get easy games? That's why they've gotten so many SEC championships this year.
Yep, that's what they get. They get the luck of the draw in the schedule. They had to play all the easy games. Well, the toughest game teams they played at home, and they finally played somebody on the road, and they got their ass whooped.
Yeah. So, hey, let them have that number 1 seed all they want. So, we know the
Texas.
statistics behind.
If Texas gets that number 1 seed and they win their easy regional, and they get paired with a 16 seed like Southern Miss, they better watch out.
100%. So we'll jump over to Arkansas softball. They are rolling in their own regional as they got their regional started this weekend. Got things started off yesterday, beating St. Louis 10-0 in a run rule game. Peyton Burnham for Arkansas gets to start in the circle. Freshman, has done phenomenal this year. She goes 5 innings, throws a no-hitter, and has 1 walk and 6 strikeouts on 66 pitches. So she throws a run rule no-hitter game for Arkansas in its first game of the regional where they win 10-0.
Yeah, incredible. Just phenomenal, man. I didn't get a chance to see it, but just seeing that you throw a no-hitter, I mean, that
in postseason play too.
Postseason play against anybody that's in the postseason, that's incredible. So phenomenal, and she's not even supposed to be the ace pitcher.
Right.
She went out there and performed like that. I hope we get the same kind of performance in our men's regional, but yeah, that's you can't beat a no-hitter. I mean, the only thing that beats a no-hitter is a perfect game, and
right.
But it's still the same effect.
Yeah. Jump over the offensive side of things. Reagan Johnson goes 1 for 3 in this game with a run scored. Reagan Kramer goes 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored. Bree Ellis goes 1 for 1 and has also walked twice, so they continue to, let her take her base. Courtney Day goes 0 for 1 in this one, is walked twice as well. Kayla Wyckoff 3 of 3 with 2 runs scored, 5 RBIs. Ella McDowell 0 for 1 with a run scored. She gets walked once as well. Kennedy Miller 1 for 3, 2 RBIs for her. Talia Rijo 1 for 2 with a run scored and walked as well. So it's again, this lineup up and down is fantastic. Austin says she came in the game against OSU, right? A big reason that Arkansas rallied. Yes, Arkansas went to her in the Oklahoma State game after we were down 5-1, and we'll get to that in a minute. But this Arkansas lineup continues to do its thing. Bri Ellis continues to get walked game after game. SEC Player of the Year for a reason. I'm expecting her to be National Player of the Year as well. It's evident when you have, even in regionals, teams are just walking her. Okay, so.
Yeah, me and my dad were watching the game today, and he was like, they're kind of like the men's team. They just wait, drama. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. So,
right.
Yeah.
And then you jump over to today's game where they won 6-5 in a game where they rallied back. Arkansas was down, 5-1 going into the 7th. Arkansas puts up a 3 spot in the 7th and to tie it up and gets a run in the 8th to walk it off here. Robin Herring got to start in this one. Not the best outing for her. She's, for all intents and purposes, you could say is Arkansas's ace this season. 4 innings for her. She allows 5 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts on 85 pitches. And then Peyton Burnham, to Austin's point, what he said, she comes in 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk on 55 pitches. So kind of comes in, calms things down, doesn't allow any more runs scored for Oklahoma State. And then the offense starts to do their thing. They put up 2 runs in the 4th, 1 run in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th. 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th. And, Arkansas ties things up in the 7th. In the 8th, you have Bri Ellis. She comes up to the plate. They walk her to load the bases.
Yeah.
Get ready for, Courtney Day comes in. She's hitting just as well, 324 hitter. So you're going to walk your 464 hitter then to have to face a 324 hitter. So, that's what makes this lineup so dangerous.
Yeah, it's huge. So Courtney Day is going to be the heart. She's the key piece.
4-hole hitter.
Yeah, she's the key piece to how far Arkansas goes. Because let me tell you something. I watched the game today before the baseball game came on, and I got to see Bri Ellis bat before as they walked her to get to Courtney Day. They don't throw her anything.
Nope.
She's not getting anything. I saw her take 1 swing on a fastball inside, or pitch inside, and she hammered it foul. Other than that, they are not throwing her nothing close. So Courtney Day is going to get on with a lot of runners on. And it's up to – she's going to be the key factor on how Arkansas goes. And there she was today, hit the walk-off base hit to win it. So,
yeah, as Austin would say, out of the frying pan and into the fire. So, yeah, and so you look at those stats today. Reagan Johnson goes 1 for 5. Reagan Kramer goes 1 for 3 with 2 runs scored, 2 walks. Bri Ellis 0 for 1 with a run scored, walked 4 times today.
Yep.
I mean,
and what gets on my nerves is they know they're going to walk her, and they still throw all these pitches outside.
I don't know if
I'm just tell her to go to base.
On the rule for softball, they may have to pitch to her. I don't know if the rule.
I saw in another game that I watched that they just pointed at the base and let her walk to it. So I don't know if that's maybe I saw a ghost that day.
Conference rules and regional rules. Yeah, I don't know.
That may be. I don't know. So,
but then you jump to her, like you said, that heart of the order there, Courtney Day, 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored in this one. Had that key hit right there in the 8th to give Arkansas the win and walk it off with that base hit. Kaylee Wyckoff, 1 for 4 in this game with an RBI and a walk with a 1 of 4 with a run scored or RBI. Ella McDowell 1 for 4 in this game. She had a key hit that tied things up in the 7th. She's the one that brought the runner home to tie the game, to force extras. Kennedy Miller 1 for 4 in this game. Natalia Rijo 4 for 4 with 2 runs scored in this game, 1 RBI. And then, so, this lineup is set for success. Like you said, Courtney Day is going to be key because apparently Bri Ellis isn't going to get a chance to hit the ball for the foreseeable future if these teams are smart, or unless, it's a situation where, hey, you've got bases loaded, you kind of have to pitch through, or you're walking in a run.
It reminds me of Barry Bonds. I keep saying this because they literally intentionally walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded before to walk in a run. I mean, it's incredible the way that they pitched her.
Yeah. So they got their win today. So, they'll take on an advance in the regional. They will be taking on the winner of game 5 tomorrow at 3:00. It'll be either Oklahoma State or Indiana. That game should be going on right now. We'll do a quick.
They be playing tomorrow because Indiana had to play the 4 seed today, right? So Oklahoma State would be playing the winner of them. So it'd be they would play the first game, right?
No, they're playing today.
Are they?
Yeah, there's 3 games today. We beat Oklahoma State, sent them the losers bracket. Indiana beat St. Louis 4-2, and then directly after that had to go and play Oklahoma State.
So they do it differently than baseball does it.
And so it looks like Arkansas will be seeing Oklahoma State again because they're in the bottom of the 4th. They are up 14-2 on Indiana.
That's crazy because Indiana came in as the best hitting team in the country from what the commentator was saying in the game. So
it looks like we'll have a rematch with Oklahoma State tomorrow.
Bring them on.
At 3 p.m. If there is a game 7, that'll be at 5:30 directly after that. And it'll be an elimination game, which game 1 is an elimination game as well. Tomorrow, if we beat Oklahoma State, we win the regional, and we'll be getting ready to host the winner of the 16th seed Arizona regional. So let's take care of business tomorrow morning. And I'll have to worry about playing 2 games tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And so fantastic things there. This team can get it done. I wouldn't be surprised to see Peyton Burnham again, or Robin Heron, or any of the other pitching staff that we got. Girls going to keep rolling. Guys are getting ready for the SEC tournament. Like Transplant Text say, go to Razorback softball. Fantastic stuff.
Absolutely.
There. The park was packed today. If you watched any of the game, for you guys that watched it at home, the people show up, especially postseason. So, this team's got the roster and the depth to do it. So let's take care of business tomorrow morning and get ready to see who we're going to face for supers.
Yep, absolutely.
And just to give you guys a quick update before we get out here for the SEC baseball tournament, seeding from 16 up, you have Missouri coming in at 16 seed. No surprise there. Your 14 seed is Texas A&M, 13 seed Kentucky, 12 Oklahoma, 11 Mississippi State. Florida comes in at 10, and Alabama is your 9 seed. Tennessee comes in at 8, Ole Miss at 7, Auburn at 6, Georgia at 5, Vandy at 4, LSU at 3, Arkansas at the 2 seed, and of course Texas is the 1 seed.
Perfect.
So SEC tournament will get started up Tuesday morning, and yes, Tuesday morning at 9:30, where Alabama and Missouri will play, and then the games are staggered, sequentially after that, with game 2 being Oklahoma, Kentucky, game 3 starting at 4:30 between Florida and South Carolina, and then the final game of the day, Mississippi State versus Texas A&M. So,
yeah, that'll be a good one. Is that single elimination? Those games? Are they all single elimination?
Yes, all with this new format with 16 teams and all teams making it, single elimination all the way through.
Perfect. So basically, all the teams you mentioned, the 4 teams that have to do something in this tournament to even get into a regional would be Kentucky, Missouri, obviously, South Carolina, and Texas A&M. Those are the 4 that probably on the outside looking in at this point.
Yeah, I agree. So Arkansas gets a nice break until Friday. Softball's got some work to take care of in the morning, and then we'll see what happens there. We'll let you guys know about a midweek show this week. I am traveling for work this week. That's why we're also doing this Razor recap today, because I have a flight to catch tomorrow at noon. So we'll keep you guys updated. But, from us here at Hogs on the Hill, it's been a fantastic weekend, fantastic Saturday so far, getting the Arkansas baseball, getting that series win over Tennessee, Arkansas softball taking care of things on the diamond, and set themselves up for a nice game tomorrow afternoon to take care of business in their regional. Transplant Texan, thank you for wishing safe travels. We'll let you guys know about what we're going to do this week. And everybody have a great beginning of the week. We're going to get out of here, and we'll see you when we see you. And can't wait to talk about more Arkansas baseball and softball.